Well, the next thing we're gonna do is to calculate the portfolio standard deviation, which is a little bit harder to do. Well, the first thing is you can get the portfolio return. Let me just move this out or just delete it. Okay, so I can calculate the portfolio return first. Okay, so the portfolio return will be based on different weights of A. So these are all possible weights. So you have different cases, and I'm not assigning any probabilities. They're just all possibilities. So the portfolio return, let me just go with the first one, 100%. So let me just go with the first one, 100% here. So I use A's weight, okay, multiplied by A's return, okay, plus B's weight times B's return. All right, you know, I'm going to drag it all the way down, and I want to lock the weights. Okay, so just hit F4, lock the weights. All right, so these are my portfolio returns when A's weight is 100% and 0% for B. And if I change the weights, let's say if I change to 50%, then B's weight will change automatically. So so how do you get a standard deviation? I use STDEV and then get this portfolio standard deviation, nice and simple. All right, and then I need to move back to 100% and 0 combination, so you can see the portfolio standard deviation is just 9.43, which is a standard deviation. Another way to calculate the standard deviation for the entire column is to use data table function. So you can just start with one cell and then get the portfolio standard deviation as the resulting cell. Okay, let's see what can we do. So I want the start cell to be stock A's weight. Just use W to stand for weight. Okay, format painter. And I just want the weight to start at 50%. And then I want to calculate the portfolio standard deviation. So I will need to do another round of a portfolio returns. Just drag it, it's easier. Okay, and then I will just use the weights of A, lock it, times A's return, plus weight of a B times B's return. The weight of B start with A as well, so I just use 1 minus A's weight, don't forget to lock the weight, and then times B's return. And then I drag it all the way down. Alrighty, and then I calculate the standard deviation. STDEV for STDEV for all the returns. Okay, so this one is calculated easily, and then I will just copy the whole thing, Control C, and this is going to be my data table. So I will just replace each of the percentage here, 100% A's weight, 90% weight in A, 80% weight in B, to this 50%. And then I will need to make my top link connected to this resulting cell. Okay, so the rest thing would be pretty easy. You just need to use the data table under data tab, and then what if analysis, you select data table. And the data table is going to ask you, hey boss, so I see this column of percentage here, so where should I replace it? And first of all, this is a column of a data you are going to generating the responding results. So you should click on column input cell instead of a row input cell. And then you just click on this 50%. So upon clicking this OK button, each of the percentage, each of the number here will be used to replace this 50%, and then the data table will record the corresponding result. Okay? Make percentage and then you're done. Okay, this one I don't need the decimal. Alright, so that's how to use the data table to do it, but there's also an easier way. So right here I'm showing you, okay, copy paste, I'm showing you this formula. I downloaded it from the internet. It's actually consistent with your curriculum, your textbook. So this is telling you the portfolio standard deviation is the square root of a weight of A squared, the standard deviation of A squared, plus the counterparts for B. Okay, 1 is A, 2 is B, and then multiplied by 2 times the weight of A, weight of B, and this correlation A and B, standard deviation A times standard deviation B. Alright, so you can just use this method right here. So you will do square root, and then you put A's weight, okay, squared times A's standard deviation squared plus B's weight. Okay, well, you see this is a little tricky, a little touchy. I can't click on B's weights, this button, so I just put in B15. That's where the cell is. Okay, squared, oops, times B's standard deviation squared. All right, plus 2 times A's weight times B's weight, which is in cell B15, and then times the correlation of A's risk standard deviation and B's standard deviation. I don't need that. I just need to click on the covariance, because I know this rho times sigma 1, sigma 2, this part exactly is the covariance. And before I drag it down, I need to make sure that the standard deviation of A and B, as well as the covariance between A and B, are all locked before I drag it down. So I'm going to lock B8, C8, okay, and then B10. Then hit enter. And then this time I'm going to drag it all the way down. As you can see, this formula is pretty good in terms of replicating the results. Okay, replicating the results generated by the data table. All right, and at this point, I want to do a little bit optimization. You see, I need to set a goal to minimize portfolio risk, which is the standard deviation, which is this number. You see, if I put all my money in A, 100% weight in A, the risk is pretty high. If I put 20% in A, the risk is also high. But if I put 40%, the risk is dramatically reduced. If I put 50% in A, then it is it's even lower. So where can I reach the best optimized result for A's weights? So I will need to borrow the data table function. I will use a solver. In my previous video, I have shown you how to install the solver function. So you click a solver, and you are going to make the goal here. You are going to minimize, not maximize, this guy called standard deviation of the portfolio. All right. You're going to do it right here by changing just one cell, which is A's cell, because when A's weight changed, and the B's weight will change simultaneously. All right, and then you just hit solve and see what you get. Okay, so you can see that this number is a computer generated number, and that is very, very exact, as you can read in the formula bar. So it's a 53%. Okay, and the data table function, the result from the data table still maintain the same. If A's weight is 100%, it's still 9.43%, and all the numbers are still consistent with each other, except this part. Okay, this part is the input area. You don't need to remember that, but what I'm trying to say here is, if you change the setting right here, when you try to minimize portfolio risk, the data table is not affected. Okay, I mean talking about this part. they're not affected.